she's doing the most, right? And I'm like, you gotta fucking relax. Just focus on what you know.
Well, yes, and I'm gonna and this. Yes, and the other thing that I have observed about you in the moment or two that I've known you is you find comfort and security in the doing of the work. Like if you when
Uh-huh.
you don't have work to do, like tactical work, you get very antsy, Gio Petrucci. You get very unsettled, which is fine. But all this to say, like, you're also a very capable person. So the
Mhm.
thing is that you're coming on here, you have a podcast, like it's edited, like look how good I look by the time this ends up live somewhere. Like
Yes.
you're doing it, and everything that you put your mind to, you accomplish. The challenge for you is letting go of the tactical volume. For you, I think your biggest challenge is going to like it's going to be finding that creative partner that you feel like just gets you, and then you'll be able to offload more. But it's going to be, I still feel you're going to be very uncomfortable. Look at the look
I
on your
know.
face.
I know. It's true. It
Sorry,
is. It
listeners, I'll describe it to you in detail. He looks both amused and very guilty all at the same time.
Yeah, if you want to see what I look like, go to YouTube. Welcome to another episode of Graphic Content, the podcast where we talk all things who, why, and what the. Today's guest, your summary is like quite expansive, but so to sum it up, it was a task. I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to say.
You could have
Um,
just chat GPT that.
I know, but I wanted it to be from me.
A bio from the heart.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so tell me what you think of this as I say it live. With almost 20 years' experience, today's guest started his career in agency, creating strategies for Nissan, Visa, and Molson, which in turn led him to being the director of marketing for the Canadian LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce, and eventually, today, 2025, becoming the founder of the Snow Collective, Dan Snow. Thoughts?
Naya, the crowd went wild. You just can't hear it in the background of my microphone, but that was all of those things have happened, and it was
Mhm.
very enthusiastic. So I appreciate all of that.
Listen, we can look back on our lives in not so enthusiastic ways, but at the end of the day, the amount of things that your LinkedIn profile lists, that you've done quite a bit.
Yeah, I guess I've been busy. I suppose
A
it's I
busy
was
girl.
I've been busy. As I was just saying to you, I was just listening to our Listen to Me podcast that
Hmm.
we did 5 years ago now, and yeah, thankfully we're just getting younger and fresher every day. um, yeah, it's always interesting to take a moment and take stock of your own journey because we're not always invited to do it very frequently. So, yeah, there have been some things to say the least.
Yeah, and the two of us have been working together for how many of those years?
Well, according to our last podcast, it would now be 7.
7
Yeah,
years. Yeah, it's flown by, but
I
we've
know.
been able to accomplish a lot together. Mostly you doing the pushing, but
I mean, it's like someone's got to push, someone's got to pull, and you're pulling those designs through like a champion. So I mean, we tag team this bad boy.
both of us having started in agency, we kind of got the ground, like the foundation of what who we are today in our early years. And one of the things that we connected on in the beginning was how we wanted to leave certain things behind, I guess is what I
Hmm.
want to say. I want to dig into a little bit about like what it is that led you to doing the Snow Collective, because
Yeah.
there's that the early story that was like, okay, what would you call it, the like in like comic books it's the
Oh,
what
like
am I
the epilogue.
yeah, or like the what is it? Your villain, like what is it called? What am I thinking of?
My villain era.
No, like when
Have I
it's
had
like
that yet?
no, the thing that like has like your origin story, your
Oh,
origin
my
story.
origin. There you
Yes.
go. My origin story. Yeah, effectively, my background is in ad agencies, ad land as I call it.
Mhm.
I started in market research when I was 19 years old and like still going to college and working focus groups at night. And then that led to exposure to ad agencies, and that's what I thought I wanted to do, was to work at ad agencies and be an ad executive, whatever
Yeah.
that means, and go and live that, highline lifestyle. And then I did it, and there was a bit of a different brand projected for agency life than reality.
Oh yeah.
And so after I busted my chops and had my ass kicked a bunch of times and learned a whole lot and did amazing things and met wonderful people, like there was a lot of really good as well, of course. But yeah, it just wasn't the culture and environment for me. So I figured, if none of these people are going to create it, then I guess that I probably should. And that was like 10. I mean, I registered the company 13 years ago now.
Listen, as somebody who has worked with you for so many years,
Mm,
I am 100% an advocate for the approach to leadership that you have taken,
mm,
because I've worked on both sides. So I can, I know the before and after looks like, for me anyway.
yeah,
And the way that you approach leading a team, because, and I want to discuss like the intricacies of how you formed the Snow Collective. But
sure.
to me, as somebody who's been a part of it now for almost a decade, which is
Mm.
crazy. I know it's
When you say it that way, Gio, it makes us sound very old, and I don't know that I care for that, but we'll let it
yep,
slide this time.
but sounding and looking, whatever, very different. Yeah, no, see, we don't dabble in those. Well, I don't anymore, but but no, the way you approach it is, to me, is moving away from, I know this sounds so silly, but this like dictator style. Like,
Mhm.
I found, like, working in that, where it was so tough to work in that fast-paced environment, whereas we work in a way that we have deadlines, we have work that we have to get done, clients that we need to service, but at the end of the day, there's respect, everything gets done in the end, and there's open communication, where we usually are leaving meetings, calls, etc., with smiles on our faces. And that is in no way trying to sound like Teletubby bullshit. Like, it's you know what I mean, like, it's real. And so how do you approach that?
I feel that my approach is this term that keeps coming up around me recently, which is like servitude leadership, which the whole idea is that if you want your team to generate the best results, they need to feel the best that they possibly can. And your job as a leader is to give them the tools, to give them the path, the instructions, the guidebook, and the support in order to do it. As we've discussed in the past, for me, it's about like we weren't living in choice in Adland.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that that's not exclusive to advertising agencies. A lot of people have jobs, regardless of what it is that you do, where you feel like you're allocated work and you're allocated a team. And so for me, that never fit. And so when I created the Snow Collective, it was about enabling people to thrive, and so I really try to serve my team and my clients in the best way that I can. Sometimes at my own expense,
Uh-huh.
but it's just about being a people person first, I think, and not letting like revenue or profits or like venture capitalists or like external growth forces dilute what it is that you're there to do, which is to help make people's lives better by having jobs and deliverables that are good and positive and rewarding.
I will say your approach to, how you run the Snow Collective has
Mm.
shown me, as somebody who has been in an environment where, and even with clients, like in the past, where I've worked with people that are not respectful, are
Mhm.
just hard to work with in their own way, and you've shed some light on me feeling like I can actually ask for more, or like I feel like I
Good.
I actually deserve better treatment, or I don't need to take, a certain client's bullshit,
Yeah.
because I don't operate in that way. And so it has really allowed me to, like, be honestly the person that I am today, in both personally and professionally. So, I thank you for that.
Oh, no, that's beautiful. Thank you for saying so. I appreciate that, and it goes back, and I have these moments in my mind of experiences that you and I have had together, where a client who was brought into the team late like made some belligerent comment, and I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to work with you anymore. Like, if that's how you're going to treat us, like,
Hmm.
goodbye.
Hmm.
And we go back to the comment about choice. I think to a client that we shared, you weren't on this call, but the client asked me, I was running a marketing team. Let me zoom out. I was running a marketing team at a company as an external leader. You were running the creative team. And so I was asking one of the members of the creative team for a document. And she was like, "When do you want that?" And I was like, "Well, you tell me, like, when can you comfortably commit to having that to me?" And she and her boss are both on the call, and they both just like stopped and stared at me through Zoom. And I could see that they were surprised that I didn't give her a deadline. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I have no visibility into what is on your desk outside of what I've asked you for. I don't know what your capacity is right now. This doesn't have like a drop dead date. So like I'm going to invite you to give me a deadline."
Yeah,
And
you
they
tell
like
me.
both their brains broke. Like it was just something to behold in the moment. And it's those clarifying moments where you're like, "Yeah, the culture that we have is way better."
It is. Honestly, the fact that like we don't work with a lot of people that are militant. Like they
Yeah,
understand that we are our own entity as a group, and we eventually we get everything done that needs to get done. And so we kind of tell people like this is how we operate. The relationships we have with our clients are so like copacetic, you know what I mean? Like they work so
yeah,
well together because it's like, listen, we're not feeding starving children, you know what I mean? Like we're
yeah,
so like it's all good, it'll get done. And I to me I feel like this is going to, on a selfish note, like, or a way to kind of, I center myself in this in a little bit, is
yeah,
that it's allowing me to realize that as I go through life, the expectation that I have is elevated when it comes to personal and professional. The world is already hard enough. Like why does work have to suck as well?
yeah. We live in this beautiful capitalistic society. In
Your
this
favorite.
economy, like we gotta work. I
Yeah,
mean, as
I
Brittany would
know.
say, "Bitch, better work."
I
And
know.
so, yeah, it's one of these pieces where it goes back to, I think of like in college when you had group projects and you like picked your favorite people and got to collaborate, and
Mhm.
and you knew who was going to be strong in this way and who was going to be weaker in another, and you like distributed. And I feel like this is like the grown up version of that,
Yeah,
where like
100.
again, we have deadlines, we have accountability, we have systems and processes, and like we have to. And the other piece is that we treat each other like people, and we expect our client like, and we treat our clients like human beings, and we expect the same of them. So life happens, and in the last 12 to 16 months a lot of life has happened. And the other thing that allows us to sustain this culture is we work with clients who are like, "Oh, you have this thing going on," or "The power just went out for 2 days," or 9 people in your immediate family just died. Like, go and take the time that you need, and like
Ouch.
we'll like that's the other piece, is that I find that the big change that we've created and sustained is that we work with clients who are human beings first and business owners second. And that enables us to also have that tone within our own organization, because if we were fighting external forces to be robots all the time, then it's going to seep in. So it's finding those clients that share the same values of other human beings.
100%. I mentioned at the top of the show that you had worked with the CGLCC. As you know, this is how we met. I did a mentorship through the Young Entrepreneurs Mentorship Program back in
Yes.
2019. And I had a mentor who, the one thing I retained was, and he said to me, his name's Charles McKee, and he was like, you want to make sure that you operate your business the way that you operate as a person. And that to me was such an impactful statement
Yeah.
because in my, when you're young, like, and I was only a couple years into geographic at the time, like I was now, I just hit 8 years. And I was, yes, thank you. I
That was me
know.
applauding to the listeners.
All 10 of them. But no, like, and you're in your early stage career and you're like, I have to be this and I need to do that and I need to, and it was very freeing for me because I was in my mind thinking I have to be this like specific individual, like, and I'm like, I don't even, that doesn't resonate with me. What? And for him to say that, and somebody who I respected because he's been in it for years, and I was like, hey, this person has lived a very successful life, personally, professionally, etc. I don't need to be afraid to be myself and to step into who Geo is, both as a creative and as the human being.
Yeah, absolutely. And to build off of that, the theme that I'm continuing to learn is don't sell yourself short when it comes to asking for help.
Hmm.
Once we establish ourselves as our authentic selves within our businesses and we, start living that, like it takes practice and it's
Yes.
still like an always an evolution. And yes, absolutely. And that's what's enabled the Snow Collective to exist and to grow and to be successful. And the other thing that I learned in that is like, okay, once I authentically know who I am, I also now can't like sell myself short or play small or think that, this person's so much more senior than me or they have their
Yeah.
business is so much bigger than mine. And so for me, the other bookend to that is like, now that I know who I am and how I want to show up and like what my values are, now how do I bring that to people who I put on a pedestal so that I can be like, hey, look at what I'm doing and what our team is doing and what we're accomplishing. Like, can you support us? Would you be willing to, and how could you? And so for me, that's been like the extension of that know myself journey and like know my worth. And now I have to action it by like showing up for myself and saying, I am valuable. We are valuable. Would you be willing to help make us better? And that's where my push has been recently.
Genuinely curious, but like, what got you there? Because that's not an
Mm.
easy transition or like, evolution. Because we can't just say
Yes.
like, I got this bitch and I'm gonna fucking show up and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. You can't just do that. And if you do, great. But I'm not the one.
I mean, I'm a huge proponent of coaching and therapists and leadership coaches and all of this awesomeness. It's no secret because it's made a huge difference in my life
Hmm.
and my business. But like my life has shifted a lot because of the perspective that I've gotten from great coaches. And so I was talking to Valerie Hall Little is my leadership coach. She's amazing. We've been working together for 5 years now. Maybe this is our sixth. And so the conversation I was having with Val is like, I'm so in operations, I'm running things, I need support. And she sat back and said, like, okay, who are the people in your career who have exemplified what you want to be in a chain, in an operations leader? Like, who did
Hmm.
it really well? Who inspires you? When you think of excellence, like who comes to your mind? And so I went through my, career Rolodex. I said, Jenny Simpson, we worked together at TBWA. She was my boss. She ran the digital department. She was like restructuring $30 million ad agencies globally. Like, she's a boss. And then Val was like, how would it feel to pick up the phone and call her and have a conversation with her about how, she could support or pick her brain or whatever? And I probably hadn't talked to Jenny in like 10 years, probably hadn't seen her in a decade. And so we ended up getting on a call and reconnecting. And I told her where I wanted to go with the Snow Collective and the challenges that I was facing. And that turned into dinner, which turned into me being like, do you want to come in as a fractional chief operating officer? Like, the story I'm telling myself is like, you're too experienced and you're too expensive. And and she came and said, like, these are the kind of projects I don't get asked to do very often. And I love them. And I would love to come in and help. And so for me, it's just about getting that initial push from someone who can take you out of your own internal narrative. And then
Hmm.
once Jenny said yes, I went and I asked a sales leader, Linda Kern, who's coming in to help her with sales. And then we're bringing in a fractional CFO. So now I'm like addicted to asking really good people for help. And they keep saying yes. So I'm like, amazing momentum.
Momentum. And I think it's also, like you said, it's a shift in how you see yourself. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
I, for the longest time, it's like that same bull, like, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, blah, blah, like the thing that everybody talks about. But
Yes.
really, like that, when you get that switch in your head of, let's just see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, let's just
Yeah.
not be afraid. And I feel like as a collective, no pun intended, when we started the year, like we kind of as a group talked about, okay, what are we doing? How do we want to evolve? And all individually and as a group, with you obviously leading that conversation, that has definitely rubbed off on me because even in my own journey, I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to be scared to do or ask for what I want and go for it because I played so small in the first chunk of my career. And I'm like, you know what? No, like I'm on this side of 35. It's time. It's time to pull up my bootstraps and not be scared. And if
We
things
grown
don't,
now. If
yeah.
we're not grown yet.
Oh my God, I know, right? It's so true. But the idea of expansion has been top of mind for the last like 8 months, 6 months. And that has definitely been the case with Snow. And I feel like your initiative for this year is to expand. Talk to me a little bit about that process and like where you see the agency going.
Oh, okay. We've really honed in on who it is that we want to service, which are businesses that are in what I love to call unsexy industries. So, infrastructure, manufacturing, like technology infrastructure, where everything from janitorial services to metal recycling to chemical creation, like we're in the non consumer space. And so what's great is we get to know these really interesting businesses. They all have sales teams, and their sales teams are the ones who are facilitating all their transactions. So we get to work like with sales teams in these businesses that are very complicated and interesting and long tail transaction cycles. And so as we really honed in there, there's just more opportunity for us to work with them in more involved ways.
Hmm.
And so what that means is growing the Snow Collective so that we can be external marketing departments for larger clients. And effectively to do that, I need more help. And I need to do a bunch of shit that I haven't done before.
Uh-huh.
And everything is so nuanced, like finance, cash flow management, and tax preparation and sheltering, and like that is a world and a science and a career unto itself, and
The really sexy
operations.
stuff.
Like it's all, these are all so integral, nuanced, complex systems that a business needs to function. And I think that I've been in that like solopreneur mindset of so long, where like I can do it, I can figure it out, like I can do it. And then you get to a point where you're like, not only can I not do this as effectively as somebody else who is an expert in this can, like also like I'm fucking tired. Like we've been
Hmm.
doing this. You and I are 7 years in now. Like I don't want to create something from scratch and stress test it and break it 96 times and fix it again. Like I want someone
No.
who can come in and who's like, here's point A, here's point Z, here are all of the 24 steps in between, like go. And I think part of it is really understanding our own capacity and our own skill set, and having the maturity to say like am in like have big enough boots to ask for help in these areas.
You're moving a bit quicker than I am in that regard, and it's admirable to me because I see you getting help, expanding. I'm still like I'm having a hard time snapping out of that solo entrepreneur mindset where to me I'm like A type and it's actually a detriment. Where I'm like I can do everything, I can do it all, and I'm like actually no you can't. It's becoming so difficult.
Yeah. It may be easier for me because I come from an account side background where I was running the business and the strategy, but like I always like I can't execute anything. Like what I can't draw a picture. Like I can't like I can't finesse a copy deck. I mean I mean I can't draw the picture. I can finesse a copy deck, but it's not going to be as good, right? Like so for me it was an easier mental shift to be like I need a designer, like I need like I need a web developer, like I don't write
Mhm.
code, you know what I mean? So my background was having a team around me to execute,
Fair.
whereas folks who can execute, then the question is well where do I need the external support, you know what I mean? You're looking at one discipline and I'm looking at like nine. I can appreciate why it's less, I don't know, I guess the word I'll use is obvious of where expansion opportunities are.
It's like we talked about the idea of like busy work versus expansive work.
Yeah.
And I'm very much the type who I will try to do everything because I'm just the type of person that I want to also like learn so things that will actually benefit me, like having many bows in my quiver or whatever it's called. Is that the right
Yeah,
term?
so much quivering. I'm excited. I just pictured the feathers like shaking in the background as you walk down the RuPaul's Drag Race main stage.
Oh my god, Paprika making her debut.
Oh my god,
Um,
the peacocking.
yes, but no, like having a bunch of skills that I liked, even with this process, like I'm learning video editing, I'm doing audio, whatever. It comes to a point where I'm like, this is actually, I just need to kind of refine the skills that I currently have that exist, and not try to add
Mm.
so many more, because it's taking away from, it's like what is the master of none, what's that saying? I'm
Oh,
blanking
yeah,
today.
jack of all trades, master of none. Yes,
Exactly.
I
That's
know that
how some,
jam.
right? That's sometimes how I feel. And I'm like, I'm trying to do, she's doing the most, right? And I'm like, you gotta relax. Just focus on what you know.
Well, yes, and I'm gonna and this. Yes, and the other thing that I have observed about you in the moment or 2 that I've known you is you find comfort and security in the doing of the work. Like, if you when
Uh-huh.
you don't have work to do, like tactical work, you get very antsy, Gio Petrucci. You get very unsettled. Which is fine. But all this to say, like, you're also a very capable person. So the
Hmm.
thing is that you're coming on here, you have a podcast, like it's edited. Like, look how good I look by the time this ends up live somewhere. Like
Yes.
you're doing it, and everything that you put your mind to, you accomplish. The challenge for you is letting go of the tactical volume,
Yes.
because you love it the way that like you want it done, and because there are cash flow implications and profitability implications, and you need volume to do that. So like between the two, it's challenging. But for you, I think your biggest challenge is going to like it's going to be finding that creative partner that you feel like just gets you, and then you'll be able to offload more. But it's going to be, I still feel you're going to be very uncomfortable
Oh
when you
yeah.
don't have all of the tactical work to do yourself. Look at the look
I
on your
know.
face.
I know. It's true. It
Sorry,
is it.
listeners, I'll describe it to you in detail. He looks both amused and very guilty all at the same time.
Yeah, if you want to see what I look like, go to YouTube. But no, honestly, I agree with you 100%. Like I can admit where my shortcomings, let's say. Not that it's a shortcoming, but
No.
I just am self-aware. I know that that's, it's like I've created this thing for almost 10 years, so now I got to let it go. And like that's the part that freaks me out, because and
Mm,
I can learn a lot from you. It's just I don't know, like you hit it on the head, where I have a lot of issues around productivity, or like the illusion of productivity. When I'm busy, I feel valid and
yeah.
valued. And that is a fucked up approach to existing. Like I've said before, like now that, not that this is, we're trying to get into like therapy session with Geo, but it's like I feel like it's very, the lines are blurred for me when it comes to geo and geographic. And it's so funny because like my parents have run a construction company for 30 years. It was always like Jomar was like the sixth Spice Girl. You know what I mean? Like there was the sixth the sixth member of the family, like this overlord that governed everything that we did. And I would always get so upset because it was like Jomar took so much precedence, and like my dad had this weird relationship with the business where it's like he couldn't really separate himself. And I'm I am so much more like my father than I used to make fun of him, but now I'm like it's like a weird cyclical prophecy. Like it's interesting, but I'm definitely aware of it. And I'm like, I gotta cut this, you know. So any tips, I'll take them.
Hey, it all just takes opportunity and practice. That's all it, yeah. It's just about pushing through. And that's what I've
Hmm.
learned is that like it's just about pushing through and trying the thing, delegation, whatever that thing is. And then reminding yourself when you catch yourself breaking the rule. Like for me, it's, I'm one of my goals is to completely I'm trying to design myself out of my business. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to like literally remove myself completely because all I do is create roadblocks. And so for me, it's things like a client replies to an email. Is it even addressed to me? Probably not. Do I know what the answer is? And do I want to reply right away? And like, will I catch myself halfway through writing a reply and it's not my job to reply and then stop and be like, hey, Dan, whose job is it to reply to this email? Is it yours? Are you the director of client service? No, you're not.
Hmm.
So delete this email and go back to your day. And so for me, it's also that exercise of catching myself in that moment of like overstepping or undoing the delegation. That's something I'm good at, is like undoing it. And it's about noticing it in that moment and then like stopping the behavior. And then it gets easier over time.
You have a knack at putting the right people in the right places. Once again, something I can learn from you is looking at like the actual collective that you put together. You find the right people, or the right like lanes. To me, that is a talent unto itself. There's an art to that, because you're putting together a group of people who we all work very well together, like truly. And so is there like what has your approach been? Like I know we talked about
Mm,
like people before business, but
yeah.
what is how do you actually approach it? Because like that to me is something that a lot of people can learn from because people hire people and they're like, what the who is this person? What am I doing? You know?
Yeah. And I've had those too as well, where I've like brought on partners, as we call them, because so the Snow Collective. I guess let's explain the business so that people know what we're talking about. So the Snow Collective is a full service marketing agency, and we do not have employees. We do not have an office. We are a group of business owners, consultants, freelancers who all come together under the Snow Collective brand. So we operate as a team. We have status calls every Monday. We have monthly peer-to-peer meetings. Like we operate as if we are all employed, if you will, within the same organization. But the thing is that everyone is a contractor, and so we're a core team of, I mean, there are what, 10 of us on status every week now, 10 or 11 of
Hmm.
us. And then in the background, between like coaches and finance and leadership, we probably have another six. So we're 15 to 17 right now. And so for me, there is the tactical part of figuring out who I need when. And the exercise that I did that worked really well was I took like a good old fashioned org chart with one of my coaches with all of the roles that operate within a business. And then my job was to put the people's names in and their roles, and then every role I was doing, I put my name in as the founder. So, but then I was running operations, and I was running finance, and then I was running. So you literally put your own name in red all over the org chart so that you can see all the things that you are doing, because you're doing too many things by default because you're running a business. And then what you do is you go through and you prioritize which one of those roles you're taking off yourself first. So for me, it was finance, because I can fuck up invoicing
Yeah.
faster than I can tie my shoes. Yeah.
Your
It's a
beautiful,
real
beautiful
it's a real
shoes.
asset. Yeah, thank you. The shoes I have nailed.
Yes.
The delegation finance I thankfully am also nailing.
Hmm.
But so for me, like my first one was finance. I hired an external financial team. Now we have a controller and a cash flow guide, I'll call her for lack of a better term. And now I'm bringing in a chief financial officer to help integrate finance with operations. So from building it, like when you're building your business, the org chart exercise for me was invaluable. And then it's sort of like, okay, now finance is done. Now I can't run operations anymore because it's taking up too much time. So that's the next person. And then I brought in, Jenny, fast forward, and we have ops in now. Use the org chart from a tactical perspective. And then with people, like it's all, I mean, I don't really know what to tell you other than it's all instinct. Like
Hmm.
there are a lot of different assessments, personality assessments out there, to help gauge like folks who don't have the opportunity to bring in like a referral or someone from their network. I usually tap my network and bring people in. Um, but yeah, a lot of it's just honest conversation, seeing the work. Like I've learned that don't take anyone for granted, see the work first
Yeah.
and then bring them in, even if they're really nice and you really like them. Even though they're a lovely person, they have to be able to produce.
Hmm.
And then it's just, yeah, it's a chemistry read, honestly, I think is like a large part of it.
I agree with you with the chemistry thing. That to me is always number one. I like even in my day-to-day life, like I'm a very personable human being. Like I
Yes.
can make friends easily and but
You
as
can read
as
a pitch at the bar really quickly. You got like all facets of that.
only if they deserve it.
Only, you can pull out your Dominique Jackson moment like a
Eh,
champion, but
oh, I love her. But truly, like I feel the sensing of energy, like as not to sound woo woo, but I know like you and I go into those conversations from time to time. That is like key, I feel like, especially as we're moving into an era of society where if we are really going to leave these structures behind, your approach to running a business, your approach to just being a person, like I find you are a very communicative individual. That's just important. We need that in this new stage of our reality because as we see, the old way is not working.
yeah, and I feel just, to zoom out from just the business, because we
Hmm.
are, primarily humans in this world before
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel that they're like people are becoming more insular after COVID. Again, it was so
Mhm.
interesting listening to our podcast. We recorded that in October of 2020. So
Yeah.
we were the first 6 months into COVID. And now, of course, COVID has changed and we don't live in lockdown and we know
Mhm.
what the fuck happened. I mean, we don't know what happened, but as much as we ever will.
I'm still processing it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out in 20 years. It'll be a future therapy bill. But I feel that the world has just become a lot more insular. Like
Yeah.
I've always run a virtual business. So a part of the challenge of running a virtual business is that you don't connect with people physically. And so creating a business where we have space carved out, like our monthly peer-to-peer meeting that I was mentioning, where every month we get together, we bring the team in, and I facilitate a conversation that isn't about the Snow Collective and our work and our business. It's about the people on the call. And like firstly, how are you? Like as a human and as a business. Like
Mhm.
personal, professional, how are you? What are your wins? What are your challenges? Where do you need help right now? So creating these placeholders for regular communication that aren't just about us as like, or the Snow Collective, I should say. It's all about us. It's not about the business.
Mhm.
I think it's just another way to pull us out of like this insular kind of digital time that we're in right now. As networking becomes a thing again and people like re-socialize. So yeah, it's been important to build community even if we can't be in the same physical space together.
Yeah. I love what I do. We love what we do, but it's sometimes nice to just like you said, connect as a person. Cause to me, I work with these 9 other people on a regular basis, some more than others.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know, what is going on with you in your life? How are you doing? And I think a lot of people went 2 ways after COVID on because you brought it up.
Yeah.
People went more closed off. And then there's some people that were like, okay, let's leave all the like fear and the disconnect that was experienced during that time behind, because with a nice balance, because you're not going to strike the perfect balance of I am social but I'm not, and like to me, I actually appreciate my alone time a lot more than I did before, as somebody
Mhm.
who's like I'm social, I love people. Now I'm like I don't need them as much in person.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. And I think about in my 20s when I would like work all day and then go to an event at night and then go meet friends for drinks and then get up and go to a breakfast meeting at 8:15 and then go work a
Hmm.
day in and go. Like I look at like what my schedule used to be and I'm like, how was I alive? Like how did I do that? And yesterday I had three different meetings in three different cities and drove in a snowstorm. And today I'm like, I'm gonna chill. Like
Yeah.
it's none
Yeah.
of this. It's being aware of like what our actual sustainable tempos are too. And again, and that's what's nice too about the digital piece. Like I loved being in my client's office yesterday. It's one of our largest clients. It is our largest client. Like Chu and I work on them. They're fabulous, like just to be around.
Oh
So it
yeah.
was great to be in the office and like just to be with the team. And at the same time, it's nice that we can just like, we have systems to just rock up on Zoom, be together. The accessibility piece is there, even if you're not physically accessible. And
Hmm.
like, it's about the balance.
Because I know you had said you were moving into like the US, like this is this new frontier. Has
Yes.
that been part of that movement or that initiative?
The movement into the US is honestly just my frustration out of 2024 and like
Hmm.
the complete inertia that seemed to be happening in so many business environments in Canada. And the fact that we are so in like a state of stasis watching what political environments will do,
Yeah.
especially political environments that are not ours. And like obviously there's impact, right now as we're recording this, it's April 2025 and the trade wars are happening.
Hmm.
That's our hot seat of the moment, our hot topic of the moment. And so all this to say, I just got tired of like trying to find new business and going to events and people being like, "What do you think's going to happen next year?" I'm like, "I want to know what's going to happen this quarter. Like, are you doing anything? Like,
Yeah.
we want to move." So all this to say, like, I've worked in the U.S. a lot heavily before. The other feedback I get from agency owners is that the sales cycle is shorter, that the touch points are lesser. Like it's just an easier environment with a
Hmm.
larger market. There are just more businesses there that
Yes.
make over $20 million than there are in Canada. Like the market size is there. So from a tactical perspective, it makes sense, and I hear a lot of people having success. as we are also a values-based organization. The other reason why I want to do it is because I see what's happening there politically. And
Mhm.
we right now are specifically reaching out to female-owned, LGBTQ-owned, minority-owned businesses in the US within the industries that we specialize in, that I mentioned earlier, who are keeping DEI initiatives, who are keeping their environmental sustainability initiatives. So, like, what I want to do is go in and help the companies that are minority led, who are fighting against the man, whatever we
Mhm.
want to call it, and they're fighting for the same values that we believe in. And the other thing is that the more that the US isolates itself, the more easily it's going to be able to become a dictatorship, right? Like if everyone hates America and we don't talk to them because they're American, then it's easier for their political people to go and make really negative change. And so while so many people are like, fuck the US, like booing at them at hockey games, like, yeah, we're pissed about what's happening in the government that they voted in. Great. But also like turning them into pariahs and like, no, you can't sit with us is not going to solve any problems or make the situation better. So yeah, it's transaction cycle and availability to do business. It's supporting businesses that are holding strong on their values, and it's building bridges where a lot of people are just burning them.
It's a positive approach to business that is not 100% in profit. Like,
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
if you're going to run a business, you have to think about profit, but at the same time, how do we do it in a way that is, there's a human side to it that is not
yes,
just like I'm looking for a quick buck or whatever, you know what I mean?
yeah. The tactical things we do tactically, one way or the other, it's like the lens and the brush in which we paint them that makes the difference, right? The end
Hmm.
goal is we need more sales and we need more clients to be
Yes.
successful, but like we can make that what we want it to.
On that note, like we did a bit of an overview of, your work and what your experience has been. I want to talk a little bit about agency in a box.
Sure.
This is actually the first time I'm even hearing about it. And like I want to hear how your experience in running the Snow Collective and your previous experience before that has led you to this initiative.
So building the Snow Collective, we have to build all of these systems, financial systems, operation systems. We need our technology stack, like we need standard operating procedures, like we need all of these we need this process toolkit, if you will, so that a business can function. And I worked at agencies until I was in my late 20s, maybe I was 30. And so I only have a certain amount of experience and it's only a certain amount of visibility into the way the business operates that came with my level of seniority,
Hmm.
which was medium. And so what that meant is I came with a medium skill set on knowledge of how to build a business. And so what that means is that I made a lot of missteps, and that if I had a costing matrix in Excel that could properly tell me a sell price based on my expenses and overhead, like then I would have retained more money in the beginning. And if I had an org chart so that I could plot my name in and see where I wanted to delegate first. Like these are tools that I've gotten from other people, again, coaches, consultants, my senior leadership team that I'm continuing to build. And so one day I'm part of this CEO peer-to-peer group. We were at an offsite, and one of my group members said to me, I'm paraphrasing, but she said to me, like, Dan, like, it's cute that the Snow Collective makes money doing marketing and like creating marketing deliverables, but the value of your company is actually in the systems and the processes that you're
Hmm.
building. And I was like, huh, that's an interesting concept.
Uh-huh.
Because ad agencies are just like corporate advertising agencies are just disintegrating around us in the
Yeah.
market. And there are a lot of people who've worked at agencies for a long time who don't have experience running a business. They're people that are, just starting their careers. They're young and they want to build something for themselves. And so what I've realized is that taking all of these tools, these processes, these Excel spreadsheets, these, diagrams, these tech stacks, like everything that we've built, if we can package that in a way that another business owner can pick it up and run with it,
Yeah.
then it's going to alleviate a lot of the barriers and challenges that I personally faced building this business, and most specifically alleviating the blind spots that we all
Mhm.
have based on our experience of not running a business before. If you've done this 6 times before, like rock and roll, but
Yeah.
for those of us who haven't. And so what Jenny Simpson, my COO, and I are doing is we are packaging together all of the tools you need to launch your own agency, whether it's marketing, public relations, content creation, and it's going to be specifically on a freelance model. So if you're like, I want to build a traditional agency structure with employees and a office, and like, this isn't that. This is, I'm a creative, I want to partner with the people around me, I want to be able to build a business that I know is going to be profitable and organized and sustainable. Then we're creating this, what I'm anecdotally calling agency in a box, where we're going to put it on a learning management system. People are going to be able to subscribe, and they're going to get access to tools and to information. And they're going to be cohorts with group work. So there's actual conversation with an expert to support you and other business owners. So this is what we're building right now, so that we can empower people to start their own businesses that are viable within marketing and communication.
I love that. And all from you saying "fuck agency life," like
Correct.
however many years ago, and now this. It's a like a fairy tale story. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, once my pumpkin carriage shows up and I like have my ball gown on, I'll text you and then I'll let you know that like it's the fairy tale is real now. It's happening.
Yes.
Once Prince What's His Face shows up and whisks me away, I'll let you know.
Hmm.
But no, it's very serendipitous, and to go back to the why, we see all of these conglomerates buying up small agencies, just like in every organization. It's happening in Canada everywhere, in every industry. These conglomerates are coming in and people are, getting corporate jobs, and which is fine. It serves a lot of people. But for those of us who it doesn't, like, I want to be able to give the underdog something that they can accelerate faster with. Like, I want to change trajectory so that there's more competition in the market. And so for me, it's about giving people the tools that I didn't have to be successful sooner, so that they don't have to go take that shitty corporate job that they don't really want, or that, like, oh, my business is floundering, I don't know how to make it profitable, like, I'm going to have to get a job again. Like, we're creating it for those people so that they can run a business that is going to keep them out of being in spaces that aren't productive or healthy or good.
That's honestly a very exciting venture. I'm excited for it to make its way. And so like we can cut this if you want, but when do you think this is going to be like available to the public?
We're going for a third quarter beta test this
Hmm.
year in 2025. So realistically, that's probably going to be me reaching out to my network. If anyone hears this and they're like, I want to be a part of this now, send Gio an email at
No, send you.
graphiccontent.com. Yo,
Send
yeah,
you.
or me. If it's snowcollective.ca, hit us up in the contact page. But no, all this to say, we're going to start beta testing it in Q3 so that we can get feedback. And again, see what our blind spots are, things that we haven't pointed out. And then we're going to formalize it through fourth quarter. So I'm going to say, like, for the public, 2026, Q1 2026.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is this something that I could potentially be part of that testing group?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you're going to end up designing the whole thing.
Yeah, I
So
know. I was gonna like
I have plans for you.
that the question of when it's going to be out to the public was also layered as like when is that coming to me to start working on the brand?
Yeah, when should I put that into my workflow?
I love it. No, that's exciting, honestly. And at the end of the day, like I love any initiative that's going to help people to feel more empowered in their own business because as we
Yes.
see, the conglomerates are not, they're their own, that's their lane. And there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And so it's nice to see that there is an initiative that is looking to actually help people help themselves.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's just taking the places I've stumbled and smoothing those steps out. Like, that's
Yeah.
the goal. For me, when I don't have a clear picture in my head, it's still like it makes me uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and so
Oh yeah.
it's still a little like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not esoteric, but it's still intangible for me.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
I'm really excited for where it can go and what the opportunity brings. And again, and I'm reaching out and asking people who work in, educational design and like online learning. I'm like, cool, what are the best practices? So it's like you said, you always like to learn, and it's definitely a learning experience.
So we're nearing the end, which I don't know if you've seen any of the episodes at all, but
Of course.
I'm only like 3 out at this point. So we're recording this in beginning of April, and so like I'm still less than a month in of like putting this out to the world. So I don't know who's seen what, but what would you say is the most on brand thing that you've ever done?
I feel that the most on brand thing that I do is like hacking life. That's the feedback I got from someone last year actually, is that I don't do anything in the traditional way. It seems like from
No.
where I live to how I work to the business that I create to like the cars that I drive, like everything is its own little adventure, and it's all like workarounds of how money and capitalism society have like expected us to function, I guess, is the way that I'll frame it, like that success ladder and that like life ladder.
Yeah.
And so I think like the most unbrand thing that I continue to do is like see the existing model of how something is done and then be like, it can be half of that and cost a third of that, and we can just build it like this. So I'm going to do that now. And I think that that's like my on brand trait that seems to be, I'm just too stubborn to do anything in the prescribed way. I think is what it is.
Like the Taurus you are.
Like the Taurus that I am. That's exactly it.
As I ask the question to people, like I don't know what they're gonna tell me, but you saying, I'm like, that is on the money. You don't
The
you
branding guy nails the branding question. Yes.
you literally don't do anything the way that the society we live in, the expectations, like you kind of do, you've always taken your own path, and that
Yes.
is commendable. And I'm not like doing this
Thank
in like
you.
a let me blow smoke up your ass or whatever. You've legitimately done everything your own way, like you said, from work to how you live your personal life, everything. You're like, I'm just gonna do what I want, and not in a way that's negative. Like it's you're just taking control. You said this to me years ago, where you're like, I want to design my own life like the way that I
Yes.
want it for myself, and you're doing that. You've been doing it, you're doing it, you're continuing to do it, and now you're going to help others do that for themselves, and that to me is very commendable.
Thank you. No, and I really appreciate that. And the thing that I will add to is like, in a way, for I think at first when I felt like I didn't have a choice, it was like fuck everybody else. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And now I've realized that by designing the life that I want and living it openly is the best way to empower other people to
Yes.
do the same thing. And that is the change that I've realized, and it motivates me to do it more, because I know that if people are like, well, Dan can do it and like he's having a great time and is surrounded by wonderful people who support him, like then why can't I get a new job or start my business or leave my marriage or go travel the world or like whatever that thing those things are,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's fun and it's motivating.
You're motivating me to be better, to do better, and I thank you for that. And I look
We'll be
forward to the
better
next.
together.
Yes, and like I look forward to what the next 7 years is going to be, right?
Yeah.
For us individually and as a partnership when it comes to our work. Like I don't know. I think I have so many thanks for you, and thank you for doing this episode, like taking time to doing this. Like this is my new little venture, and it just means so much that anybody who says yes to be part of it, and I just appreciate you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I can't wait to listen back to this in 5 more years when we get on our next podcast interview and
Girl.
do another like inventory of the wild and amazingness that has transpired between now and then.
Even though like seemingly everything around us is crumbling, but I do genuinely feel hope, and like I feel galvanized for myself and for us as a group of entrepreneurs all working together in this bleak existence that we live in. To me, that's something worth holding on to. So and I have you to thank for that, so I appreciate it.
Oh, you're so sweet. No, it's my pleasure. Forward we go.
Yes, I'm excited. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, they've heard this episode and they're like, hey, Dan sounds like somebody I want to work with, like how can people reach out to you and come into contact with you?
You can always reach me through our website, snowcollective.ca. And the best place is LinkedIn. You can find, I know it's not a very sexy answer, but yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, reach out. And if you're directly connected to Geo, I'm only ever an arm's length away we're only ever a touching Zoom screen away. So yeah. But yeah, hit up the website, check me out on LinkedIn. All are welcome. The more the merrier.
Amazing. And okay, one sec. I'm just gonna do my outro. I hate doing this part. Like,
Because you have to self promote.
yeah.
I know. I really enjoyed how uncomfortable you were and how Lorena had to push you to do it.
I know. It's like the one thing I'm like, oh God, it sounds so like whatever,
Show up
but
for yourself, bitch.
yes. And to anybody who wants to reach out to me, you can follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. I'm also on YouTube. I would love a follow, a subscribe, leave a comment if you will. I would love to hear your thoughts on any of the episodes. And if you want to reach out to me about design, you can reach out to me through geographic.com on my website. And yeah, thanks. Thanks for listening.
Yay, Geo. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, bye.
Bye.